go time.
The boys are back. That's right, Florida Man Sports is here with another exciting episode. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This is Florida Man Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, Florida Man Sports is back, yes, sir. And Johnny Cinco, in this great episode, we say goodbye to the regular NFL season as the playoffs are ahead. And we look forward to the NFL playoffs, Johnny. But before we get started, please like, share, subscribe. We are streaming on all major platforms. Let's get things started. Johnny, there's a lot to go over.
Are you going to explain to Liz why you're in dry January, but you had an empty beer bottle?
Yeah, because it's for the state-of-the-art studio. We have empty bottles to, keep the thing going.
Oh, you believe that? Okay, sounds good.
Well, I'm not going to let you set me up. I have not.
Okay, sure. No.
I have not. I promise.
Okay, go ahead.
You're going to make me call producers to verify? I have not done. Can you look at it? I'm not, what is it? Inebriated? Can you not see that?
You can't say the word. Can't say the word, just so you know.
Please like, share, subscribe. Let's jump right into it, Johnny. There's a lot of big surprises when it comes to the NFL season, so it's very hard for us to be here and be like, just select one, but I am going to ask you anyway, what is the biggest takeaway of the NFL season for you?
We can talk a couple different things. I mean, it was a big shock to me that Belichick did not get hired. He goes to college. I saw it's a big story. That's a huge shock to me. But yeah, I think the biggest surprise for me is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills did this year. You and I both had written them off, along as just about everyone else.
A lot of people did.
Outside of Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They wrote them off because of the fact that they lost Diggs. You felt that, hey, it's time. The window's closed. There's going to maybe be 2 or 3 years before Josh Allen gets another shot at it. But no, great coaching. Josh Allen, MVP candidate. He's right there. We'll get into an MVP conversation later in the show. But for me, the Buffalo Bills just dominating the AFC. They should have had the number one pick, but the NFL wanted the number one seed, but the NFL wanted the Kansas City Chiefs to go and have that. But great performance by the Buffalo Bills in the regular season. They are my biggest surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have it as my top 3 for sure. I mean, if you really think about it, to your point, it wasn't just us, man. It was the whole ESPN, NFL Network even. What do they do? What do they do on the offensive side? And you have to have an MVP quarterback to get you through the season. So, I definitely agree with you there.
Respect.
For me, it's going to be the NFL running game. It's not a team. It's the NFL running game. Talking about what we thought about in the preseason, let's go back last year, Johnny. All NFL running backs weren't getting paid. They were talking about the NFL running back position being the most unappreciated position. Running backs weren't even finding contracts with their teams. You look at this year now that the season is over. Check this out for a second.
Okay.
You've got 16 running backs with over 1,000 yards running on the season. So that's 16 teams, Johnny, that needed the running game to have over 1,000 yards rushing. In the top 10, 4 running backs on the top 10 have new running back homes. So we're talking about, of course, Barkley, Henry, all who found new homes and found success. But then you got also players like Jacobs. You got players like Aaron Jones. Those are the 4 there that found a new home because they weren't getting paid. And then they won over 1,300 rushing yards respectively.
Yeah.
So, I mean, big ups to the running game. That's a big surprise for me. Hopefully this year, we won't be, or this offseason, we won't be talking about that being such a bad position. And hopefully these guys will get paid.
I don't see anything changing, Chris. I mean, I get what you're saying, but that running back position is expendable. It's expendable because it just requires athleticism and good blocking.
Sure.
So they realize that we can just go ahead and there's a few exceptions. You have your Barkleys. You obviously have your Adrian Petersons. You have your Damian Tomlinsons. All the great backs. Those are the exceptions, not the rule. But the rule is that a running back, you can put in anybody there as long as you got good blockers.
You can as long as you have good blockers. But again, I mean, I'm going to double down on this, talking about finding these new homes. Look at Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon found a new home over 1,000 yards. So you have players like that. And then, of course, there's also top 10 rookie Bucky Irving, so he doesn't count because he's a rookie. But anyway, my point being is running backs are back. The NFL is better for it. The NFL needs a running game. The Bucs needed a running game this season. And I think that's going to pay fruit when it comes to dollars and cents. I think it's going to pay. I think people are going to learn from what happened with Barkley and what happened with a 30-year-old King Henry. And I think they're going to open up their pocketbooks.
It's going to pay fruit. You hear this guy?
Pay fruit.
It's going to pay fruit. Yeah, the time-old saying, it pays fruit. Yes.
Was that wrong? Did I butcher another saying?
Maybe.
I usually butcher it towards the end of the episode. Did I butcher
Start.
How does it go?
Combining that. It bears fruits.
What did I say?
Body fruits. City minus root.
Oh, man.
Bears.
Oh,
Okay.
Florida Man Sports, streaming on all major platforms. That's the biggest surprise. What about the biggest upset of the season? Again, like I said, there's so many things that we could go over, but just pick one, Johnny. What you got?
I mean, for me personally, obviously we had our preseason picks back and forth, and my AFC team going to the Super Bowl was the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're my biggest disappointment. I mean, Burrow had an MVP type year, and it's unfortunate that the defense was among the worst of the entire league, and they didn't get the calls they needed to. They couldn't beat any good team. When they played the Ravens, they played the Chiefs, it was always a 2-point game, and they couldn't get those wins. They couldn't really deliver them. They lost twice to the Ravens on by 1 or 2 points. Any one of those wins would have gotten them into the playoffs. It just wasn't meant to be. But, man, I really wanted the Bengals to make it because the Bengals would have caused some serious damage if they made it into the playoffs.
I'm surprised that you're saying that that's the biggest disappointment because they actually ended up going to the last week of the season to make in the playoffs. I mean, for them to be, in my opinion anyway, for them to be top 3 in my book, they would have to have had won 3 games or something. That's
no, the biggest, dude, everybody, including myself, had them elite team in the AFC. They're making the playoffs. This is a wasted year for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback as long as he doesn't get injured. I mean, knock on wood. And this guy is so talented, so good. And I'm like, I get so annoyed when I see talent like this go to a terrible franchise. And he's found a way to make this terrible franchise relevant. Took him to the Super Bowl. And this was another good team. This was the last year he had this. Higgins is gone after this year. And then we'll see what's going to happen with Chase. They're not going to pay Chase. It's going to be.
He's going to get paid.
I mean,
they're jumping ahead, but I think
I don't know. He won the Triple Crown. Yeah, the Triple Crown this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bengals, because that terrible ownership wants to pay him the money that he deserves. And I can see him maybe moving on. But you heard it here first. Bring your boy.
Talking about butchering. So they're your gray horse for the season coming up?
Don't.
Your gray horse?
You go. I like that. What a reach.
For me, my bigged upset of the season is the San Francisco 49ers. I picked a team on that one as well. And of course, as you guys know, look, let's go back. If I would have told you to bet the house, or you probably already bet the house. Okay, hold on, we'll get there.
Okay.
But if I would have told you, if you're a gambling person, I don't even think you would have done this and said, the Bengals are going to win at least 7 games. You would have taken, the Niners would have won at least 7 games. You would have taken that bet. You would have bet the house. People probably did bet the house. Okay, you did say that they were going to have an off season.
Yeah.
You didn't say that they would win 6 games or less. And that nobody expected that. Nobody, not even you, Johnny Cinco. So for that is the biggest upset. You can't just blame Purdy. You look at the points for, points against in that division, 436 points allowed, the most in that division. The worst part about it, it's one thing to lose. It's one thing to miss out on the playoffs like you did. It's another thing to be the worst team in the NFC West. And so for me, the best upset, if you will, the worst upset, about to butcher something else here, is the San Francisco 49ers.
I just didn't want to give any reference to a terrible team, so they have terrible fans, specifically Lewis. So I didn't want to reference it. And I called, like you said in the preseason, that they're going to fall off. Yes, I didn't see her specifically say they're going to win 6 games, but it was like history, guys. The NFL always, the 2 teams that go to the Super Bowl, one team falls off the next year. And I said, what did I say? I said, it ain't going to be the Chiefs because the NFL wants them. The Chiefs were just as bad, if not worse, than the San Francisco 49ers. But they play in a weaker conference, and they had that 12th man in the referee that gave them 10 games that the referees went ahead and handed. I'm exaggerating, hyperbole a bit. It was more than just a handful. A handful is like 2 or 3. It was a little more than that. But still, they had no business being the number 1 seed in the AFC. They had maybe at best just sneaking in as a wild card, but the NFL wasn't going to have that.
So now that I've told you about the 49ers being the biggest upset, do you want to take the 49ers or are you sticking with the Bengals?
No, the Bengals are still the 49ers. I expected them to fall off, and they have terrible fans.
Florida Man Sports, streaming on all major platforms. Please like, share, subscribe, unless you're a 49ers fan. Let's move on to because again, there's so much to talk about the good and the bad. Part of that bad, Johnny, is the coaching carousel. And what we have, obviously, the day after the regular season is called Black Monday. That's when all the coaches get axed, unless you're the New England Patriots. But, I mean, let's talk about it. So the Jets, the Bears, the Saints, the Patriots, and the Jaguars all have openings for head coaches right now. The Cowboys and the Raiders are still TBD. And I think the Jets are the only one that have a both coach GM position available. You've got names like Mike Vrabel, offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, Brian Flores for the Vikings, of course Liam Cohen for the Bucs, Johnny. So ultimately, there's a lot to digest here. Where do you want to start? I kind of want to start with Mayo getting fired before Black Monday. But what do you see in this coaching carousel?
Let's just jump right into what everybody was talking about. A lot of people were surprised with Patriots coach Mayo and they getting fired. I'm not surprised. I'm happy for it. I understand, me and Cris talk off air, and I understand 1 year is not enough time to really see what you have there. And I personally feel that they got rid of him because he didn't follow orders. And it's kind of like, dude, you needed to lose the last game. Last week we talked about it, and I understand you play to win the game. I understand the whole thing. And what was the coach that was famous for saying the Jets coach there was Herm
Edwards. Yeah.
And he was like, you play to win the game. Hello? I understand that, but you've won 3 games. You lose the last game, you're guaranteed the first overall pick. You're guaranteed. Now, there's speculation, reports on things were done before. You'll get into that. But I'm just thinking that because the fact that he didn't, why wouldn't you do it on Monday? Why would you fire him then there before Monday? They did it almost immediately, the same day he's done. It's kind of like, just wait till Monday. No, they did it because he won the last game and they shouldn't have won. That was guaranteeing you the number 1 overall pick. Now the Patriots have the 4th. The 4th, you're not going to do much with. It was always projected that it was going to be Travis Hunter and then make Shadir Sanders and Cam Ward's. So Cam Ward, Shadir Sanders, the quarterbacks, you have teams desperate for quarterbacks. The Patriots didn't have it. We could have traded that number 1 pick for multiple first-rounders and still get Travis. Still went ahead and worked that out. We still could have worked that out, possibly. Worst case scenario, we still get a top pick. We still get what we get now, number 4, and still go ahead and get multiple first-round draft picks. But it didn't work out that way. That's why I feel I'm fine with Mayo being gone. You?
There's so much to talk about with all the other teams, but I'll briefly go over the Patriots, what they did. What they did is wrong completely on every level. The NFL, what is it? The association that helps out the coaches and players. What is that called?
Player Association?
The players. Well, I know there's a coaching one, but there should be. They need to look into that. You're talking about a guy who the year before he got hired, they won 4 games. What did you expect this season? Forget about the number 1 pick for 1 second. Let's put that aside for a moment. What did you expect this year? Right? You have all this cap room. You don't use it. You don't bring any new players. You have a rookie quarterback. What do you expect? The fact that the New England Patriots and this organization that this guy over here talks so highly about being the best in all sports grabs a coach that they handpicked. They didn't want to let go. They didn't want to lose. Handpicked him from that from that Belichick era, and he doesn't even get a full year. He was fired even before he made 1 year to the date that he was hired as coach. And so that's the first part. You have no expectations for it. So in that whole holistically season that you're talking about, the guy wins only 4 games. He gets a high pick for the draft. The only argument that this guy here is arguing about in firing him is the fact that they could have traded for picks, because his argument is that he could still get Sanders, right? That's your not Sanders. Who's the other kid? Hunter. Your argument is he could get Hunter. Well, technically speaking, because they are going to draft quarterbacks early on, you still have that option. So the only reason for firing him at this point is because they're going to get the player they want, but they're just not getting draft picks out of it.
You're not going to get the player you want.
The last thing I'm going to say on this is this. You have all this money for this next coach that you're going to hire. You have all this opportunity for this next coach. And my sources inside tell me that Mayo knew he was going to get fired. The writing was on the wall that he was going to get fired before the game even started. And so that is my intel as to why he won this game. And it bears fruit, because the offensive coach was also fired today. So I'm just telling you, all the way around, I don't like it. I'm sure that we'll hear a little bit more from him as the stories come out. But at the end of the day, it's a bad move for the Patriots. If I'm a coaching candidate, I don't know that I want to go to New England. Why would I want to go there?
Who's going to turn down?
Why would I want to
really
go there?
Any coaching job there? You're not, and especially talking about the storied franchise. Listen, even what
the Jets are available, the Bears are available, the Saints are available, the Jags are available.
All terrible franchises. Okay,
and so are the 4-win Patriots back to back.
It's fine.
Get over it. The Super Bowl's over. Get over it.
You can say whatever you want about the season. Yes, we were expected. So for me, in my argument, you helped me out, because they won 4 games, and the next year we weren't expecting much. Even Kraft talked about before the season that he was not expecting much this year. He knew he was going to take his lumps. So you take your lumps. Why fire him? Because we took our lumps, and then we basically saw the horizon. You saw, okay, we're taking our lumps, take the necessary lumps, and get the first overall pick. You have so many different things you can play with. The 4th pick is not going to get us the player that we need. It's not. And the way the Patriots work traditionally is we're going to go ahead and trade those top picks. So we could have gotten away with going ahead and picking up Travis Hunter. But Travis Hunter was what everybody projected us to go ahead and pick up, and got multiple first-round picks because we don't need them. Other teams need quarterbacks. The quarterbacks I mentioned is the ones they're going to want. We could have worked something out. Now it's not. So you're going to lose and not follow orders. Also,
you have another draft like last year. Sorry to cut you off there, but you have another draft like last year where I disagree with the top 3 anyway. And so at number 4, 5, 6, and 7, you're going to be able to draft a stud. So again, it just doesn't make sense to me. But go ahead.
Now, last year the draft was stacked with good quarterbacks. It was stacked with good quarterbacks. And it worked out for this upcoming year. It's
how about give your boy credit here when I said those are the top.
Okay, anyway.
Knicks, yeah.
Okay.
I said
don't hurt your hand patting yourself on the back too much. All right. I'm saying there were multiple good quarterbacks. I'm saying I didn't think much of Jaden Daniels, but he actually showed up. He did his thing, and everybody was pretty good, but ultimately led by probably the 2 Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, great rookie quarterbacks, but good. This upcoming year, there's not a lot of good quarterbacks. The guys who they're thinking is going to be amazing, the Shadir Sanders, I don't know. We'll talk more about that. Yeah. Even Cam Ward, I'm not sure he's going to be great, but those are the top guys. And so those teams, there's speculation the Giants want to go ahead and pick up Cam Ward and even bring on board the coordinator from Miami up into New York. So there's a lot of different things happening there.
A lot of moving pieces. So moving on from the Patriots, we can agree to disagree on the firing.
I want too much on Patriots. Where I did so a little too much.
No, I did too. I mean, it's a big thing to get fired before Black Monday. So, well, what about other names? Any other names you want to see?
What you're saying is that they're talking about Vrabel. Vrabel going to the Patriots. And Vrabel is obviously a big name. He's going to get hired somewhere here. Even maybe they're concerned, but they're talking to the Patriots are concerned that he's going to the Jets.
That's what I believe. And that's why they fired the coach. Yep.
Well, listen, you got to I'm not mad at somebody saying, hey, we made a mistake. We made some moves. The problem is with Mayo. Mayo came in, defensive guy. He played with us for like 10 years, defensive guy. We were one of the worst defenses in football, the New England Patriots. So the New England Patriots, you come in your defensive coach and your defensively, you fail horribly. We weren't expecting to do much offensively with a young offense, but our defense wasn't that young. And we were supposed to have a defensive coach and we failed. That's why I think they fired him. In addition to losing the last game, I think if he would have, won the last game.
You say you're putting it all together. He knew that Vrabel was going to come on board. Watch Vrabel. When Vrabel gets hired, it's going to confirm this here.
Okay.
That's why he got fired. He knew the writing was on the wall. He ended up winning the game anyway. You're going to fire me, whatever. We're going to do things. Watch. And if Vrabel's the coach, it's going to confirm that's right.
But regardless, you know what I'm really hoping, though, honestly? I don't think it's going to happen. What I'm really hoping is that somewhere in the NFL, John Gruden gets hired. Like, my God, bring John Gruden back to the NFL. I understand the mess, the emails. I understand that's coming on there. But obviously, certain things were taken out of context and really blown up. But still, there was some language there that's a little bit suspect. But, man, give John Gruden another shot somewhere there. Jacksonville. John Gruden.
Ben Johnson's going to Jacksonville. I already called that.
I don't know.
I already called that last.
Patriots have already requested to interview Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, we'll see.
It's their process.
So it's like, all right.
Any other vacancies that you want to see filled in general? Again, the Bears, you got the Saints, and then maybe the Cowboys and the Raiders.
This turned into like a Patriot talk because what I'd like to see is the good old former Patriot coach Pete Carroll, all 95 years old, but he wants to come back. I want him to see him coaching the Bears.
He wants to come back coach the Bears.
Yeah, come back, coach the Bears. Pete Carroll, come back. You're a great coach. Yes, you're older than dirt, but come back and you can't do worse.
Vrabel goes to the Patriots. The Bears position gets taken, like you just said. Ben Johnson goes to Jacksonville for the Jaguars. Do you bring back Rex Ryan to the Jets like he wants to come back? Do you bring him back?
Yeah. You haven't been successful since Rex Ryan with the Jets. You haven't been. You've been terrible.
That's a good point.
And so you might as well go ahead and give it another run and see what happens there. He's talking a lot in ESPN how he can fix the Jets. So we'll see.
Then that would leave Jay Gruden. That would leave John.
Yeah.
That would leave John Gruden to the Saints. Imagine that.
Give the guy a shot. NFL may block that.
That would be crazy.
But it would be awesome if that happened there. But I'd like to see the coaching is going to be nuts. I'm just really looking forward to the playoffs, Chris. The playoffs are going to be something special.
Absolutely.
It is sad, bittersweet because the season's coming to an end. But, hey, we'll worry about that afterward.
Yep. And as the season comes to an end, John, like you just mentioned, Florida Man Sports, we are streaming on all major platforms. Let's talk about the awards before we jump into the Wildcard week.
Okay.
Let's start with the NFL Rookie of the Year. Now, I know there's offense and defense, but, here we're going to focus on offense. It is what it is. Most people do anyway. Who do you got for NFL Rookie of the Year?
Daniels, obviously the quarterback for the Washington Commanders. The dude threw for almost 3,600 yards, passed for 69%. As a rookie, 69% completion percentage is nuts. 25 touchdowns, 9 picks. I mean, this guy had the season that everybody expected the number one overall guy to do, and he did it. So the number one overall guy, we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into that, but it's all about Daniels, Commanders, Rookie of the Year, outstanding season, led him in the playoffs. Nobody was expecting it. So props to Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, finally we can agree on something. I've got Jaden Daniels at the top. Oh, I think it's unanimous that he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I for sure thought
it's not. No. Look, it's not going to be Caleb Williams, of course, right? Talking about Chicago, rookie number 1 pick.
Yeah,
and I knew it wasn't going to be him. But I did say at the beginning of the season that Bo Nix is one of the better quarterbacks in this draft, and I'm very happy to say this. He's number 2. Like I have my 1, 2, and 3. I don't even have Caleb Williams at number 3.
No.
I've got Brock Bowers at number 3, he's got the wide receiver record, most receiving yards for tight end.
Honestly, for me, I was trying to side between Daniels and Bowers, but for Rookie of the Year, like being right there. But because once he's
the comeback, you can't argue with 3,775 yards passing Bo Nix and 29 touchdowns. That's I think second most of rookies all time. So definitely give him some kudos, Bo Nix, for there, and that's why the Broncos are in the playoffs. But yeah, Jaden Daniels takes it. By a mile, 891 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns to follow with those stats. Let's move on to the coaching of the year, the coach of the year, Johnny Cinco.
Well,
who's got coach of the year for you?
I know you're not going to agree with this because he frustrates the heck out of me, even though I picked this team to make it to the Super Bowl, but it's got to be Campbell for the head coach for the Detroit Lions.
You pick Campbell.
The reason I'm picking Campbell, head coach, you can say whatever you want.
Wow.
The NFC is incredibly difficult, much more difficult than the AFC. Also, the fact that he plays in the toughest division, the NFC North. NFC North, everybody made the playoffs in NFC North except the Bears because they're terrible. And number 1 overall seed in the NFC, first round bye. You can't ignore that. I don't care what you say. Yes, there's other candidates involved. You can sit and say, "Oh, but they were." I could have sat here and talked to you about the Bills coach, how nobody expected anything. You can talk about other coaches or even Quinn and Commanders. Just because expectations are low, that's many times easier to go ahead and rise to the occasion. But when expectations are high for everyone but Chris, who picked them to lose just about every game this year, he kept saying they're going to go on a 10-game losing streak. This is going to happen. It never did. But when you have...
So they would have won 10 games.
Yeah, anyway.
That's what I said.
When you have high expectations and he surpasses them, that wins you the coach of the year. So he's my coach of the year.
So the guy that you said is going to probably ruin the chances of the Lions winning the Super Bowl is your coach of the year. You wonder why I always say this guy talks out of both sides of his mouth.
It's a regular season award.
Okay.
He's going to blow it for the team in the playoff, but he's a regular season.
I think you nailed it. It's a regular season award. And that's why people look at the coach who can go through that adversity. That's why you should have looked at the coach for the Bills because, again, nobody expected that coming into the season. For me, though, it's Mike Tomlin. It's Mike Tomlin. Honestly, it's about damn time. Sorry for cursing. Producers can beep that, but it's about darn time that you give Mike Tomlin his due. You're talking about the coach who year after year has never had a losing season. You're talking about a coach.
I said that. You said that. Yeah, I jinxed him.
You're talking about a coach who didn't have a new quarterback. He had new quarterbacks, plural, in that offensive room and still found a way to make it to the playoffs, make it even almost win their division all the way to the finals, and they are in the playoffs right now. So it's about time. It's time for you to give it to Tomlin. It is all about adversity. It's not about rising to the expectation when you're expected to. It's about doing something that other people could not do. They put Russell Wilson, the Broncos, they had brushed him off. He was done. And then Tomlin goes and picks him up. He made the gut call, which I questioned about starting Wilson, right? Remember that? Mm-hmm. So for that, it's Mike Tomlin.
No, Mike Tomlin is an outstanding coach, probably the
coach of the year. Thank you.
Probably the best coach in the NFL right now, and he does an amazing job. But you're not coach of the year. You don't win coach of the year losing 4 straight games to go into the playoffs. So you lose 4 straight games. He had an opportunity. If he would have went 3-1 or 4-0 during that stretch and got into one division, yeah, you have an argument. But you lose 4 games in a row. A coach of the year award doesn't go to a coach that loses 4 games.
I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna.
Who are they playing? Who are they playing this week? Right here? Yeah, They're going to lose 5 games in a row. We'll get to that. They're going to lose 5 games in a row.
We'll get to the predictions, but I'm going to stick with Tomlin. It's about time. Give the man his award.
No.
Let's move on to the creme de la creme, the number one thing we all think about, the MVP award, Johnny Cinco. Now, before you go and blurt out your ramble here, please give it some thought. A few weeks ago, we talked about it. I had Lamar Jackson. You had Josh Allen. I told you to come to your senses. You put me on the spot, actually, and I had to, clarify and state my case for Jackson. But go ahead and man up. Man up. Who's your MVP?
It's neither one of those. Actually, my MVP is Barkley. Barkley rushed for 2,005 yards. He is the reason that the Eagles are actually a true championship contender this year. And they're that missing piece, and he went ahead and brought him over the hump. I'm pissed off that team didn't give him the record by letting him play. Whatever reason, I don't care. I get all that. And it's so frustrating. And this coach, if they don't win the Super Bowl, is going to be fired. Like, if they don't win Super Bowl, I'm telling you right now, you don't win the Super Bowl, he's going to get fired. I don't think they're going to go ahead and do this whole thing again. Just not just because of that, but just in general, you made it there. Meaning, if he gets there, I doubt it. I don't think he's going to make it even to the Super Bowl, but I know that our opinions differ. But Barkley, 2005 rushing yards. He had 13 rushing touchdowns. He was the heart and soul of that team. He is the reason they are going to do anything this year. Barkley's your MVP.
So and kind of to your point a little bit here, the only way that would have been possible is if he would have actually broken Dickerson's record, which he didn't. So that makes your thought process there, for me, in my opinion, null and void. You don't give it to him. And then as far as the coaching concern goes, as far as him getting fired, the only way that I think that would be even remotely possible of it happening would be if they lose in the first round.
Yeah, but that's
if they lose,
we're gonna get there.
Okay, if they lose,
but
that's kind of made it sound like if they get to the Super Bowl and lose. Now, if he gets to the Super Bowl and loses, he's keeping his job.
He ain't getting Super Bowl.
He ain't getting fired.
He ain't getting Super Bowl.
With that being said, this is a quarterback's award
traditionally
this season. And between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, it's a shame that I got to get on this mic here, Florida Man Sports, and it's a shame that I have to justify and compare Josh Allen to Lamar Jackson, because this year there is no comparison. He broke away the last few weeks. He hasn't looked back. You're talking about a guy that's got the knock that this guy had. He can't throw the ball. He won't throw for 4,000 yards. He threw for 4,100 yards. He threw for 41 touchdowns, less than 5 interceptions. Bro, put some respect on the man's name. 914 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Why didn't he have double-digit touchdowns rushing? Why? Because King Henry's there. He doesn't need to rush for touchdowns. Incredible. 66% completion passing and 77 QBR. That's higher than Josh Allen.
Okay.
That's higher than Baker Mayfield.
You're forgetting one number, though. How many fumbles did he have?
What do you mean? How many fumbles? Rushing?
The problem with Lamar Jackson is
the
problem with Lamar Jackson is that, yes, you're looking at that good numbers, and he's well deserved. He won the MVP, but he only 5 interceptions. He has more fumbles and interceptions.
What you're not understanding, though, John?
Oh, it's just as bad,
Johnny. What you're not understanding, John?
He had 12 interceptions. You couldn't say. You say only 5, but he had so many fumbles.
Is that this is the best statistical season that he has ever had in his career,
they don't count.
And he already has won MVPs. So the only argument you made last week was, it's because he's already won it. People are tired of
voter fatigue.
Voter fatigue. Well, I think that's complete horse. You know what? And give this man his.
That's what happens.
Lamar Jackson deserves the MVP.
That's what happens in sports. Jordan should have won the MVP every single year, and he didn't because people get tired of voting for him. They give it to somebody else. So as you sprinkle in Barkley, you're going to get an MVP, even though Jordan was better than them. It is what it is. You have different times that happens in all sports to where somebody dominates so much. They're like, all right, who's had just as good but they can kind of figure it out. So I can see them easily giving it to Josh Allen. I don't think so anymore because Josh Allen didn't play the last. I mean,
I was about to ask you this question. I was about to ask you that last game. Barkley aside, tell me Jackson or Allen. I want to hear it.
No, Josh Allen didn't play that last game. He needed to go in and have 4 or 5 touchdown performance, which he could have had against the Patriots, and gave us the number 1 overall damn pick. But he didn't play, so that hurt him. Ultimately, he only played 16 games. Jackson has more yards. has more touchdown passes, have a better touchdown.
Well, he destroyed him. He destroyed him. And he didn't beat. He destroyed him.
The stretch.
28 to 41. Come on.
Well, I mean, listen, that team is nowhere near as talented, the Buffalo Bills, as the Baltimore Ravens. And for Josh Allen to do what he did on that team, that's why he gets MVP votes, because nobody else could have led that team to the number 2 seed in the conference.
Baker Mayfield probably does.
Anyway, Baker Mayfield barely found his way into the playoffs this time around. Hey, he willed them, and respect to him. He did within that game was an outstanding game, especially talking about where the NFC South. Every NFC South Week 17 game was outstanding. Went down to the wire there, but
big ups to Coach Bowles.
Yeah,
Bowles, let's say it right. Always making those adjustments at halftime. To your point. But let's move right into that, right? Let's talk about the Jaguars and the Dolphins, because it is Florida Man Sports as we say goodbye to them, and then we're jumping right into the playoff and the wild card here. The Jaguars, we know they fired Peterson. Any last shots or any last words, as we let our Jaguar fan base go?
What took so long? I mean, that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, Peterson, they showed promise. People were expecting the Jaguars to do something. Last year, I mean, that first year he was with them, not the first year, but the year they were losing 27-0 in the halftime, they came back and won a playoff game. People were expecting big things after that, and then a horribly disappointing season last year where there were 99% chance to make the playoffs, and he just fell off the face of the earth. And then this year, just a debacle. So it's the same old Jaguars. What did you say, Chris? What did you say so many times? Like, well, they're the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that is like synonymous with losing. So nobody expects anything from you. So now it's kind of like you had some promise, nobody expects, and now we're just like, all right, you have a bad season. It's not disappointing because that's what we expect from you, Jacksonville. So
here's the good news for the Jaguars. To say bye to them again, because we are Florida Man Sports here. Look, it's not, and I want to be very clear for those Jag fans that are still listening right now and have kept up with us in the podcast here. Look, it's not that I want to hate on the Jaguars. Please make no mistake. I want to cheer for us. I want us to make the playoffs, and I want us to have a long run. But you got to call a spade a spade. And ultimately, I only look forward to the future at this point. I look forward to the next coach who's going to have a great draft pick, who's going to have an option with our quarterback to decide what he wants to do with him. Maybe give him a year with Lawrence and see how that plays out. But anyways, the future is bright if you get the right coach.
John Gruden.
And let's move on to the Dolphins, Johnny, where we kind of call this one as well. Dolphins lost. They're out of the playoffs. We have some recent news with Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, which I said was eventually not going to work out. The cheetah decides to say he's done. He's bouncing.
Just stop.
He's bouncing.
Just stop.
So what do we say to Miami as we say bye to them?
I mean, I'm just disappointed in Tyreek Hill. I'm disappointed not because of what happened. I mean, everybody saw what happened there. There's an interview, and
he didn't come in the fourth quarter. He got an injury. Come on, man.
No,
he was hurt.
Yeah, he wasn't. But regardless, at the end of it, he's basically, I quit. He quit Miami at the end of it saying, hey, I'm a winner. I'm a competitor. I can't win here. Like, you just ended the season of the game there. You're still under contract, Tyreek. You ain't going anywhere. And if you're going to do that, you know how pissed off I am as an executive or a fan. I'm like, dude, we can trade you, easily trade you. It's no issue and still get something. But when the other, teams know that this guy wants out, that's going to hurt my bargaining position. It's going to hurt your franchise. And there's no reason for you to do it. You just basically were like, this team's a bunch of losers. I'm a winner. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out. I'm like, what? You're not a professional. You're pathetic. You had more kids than touchdowns this year. So I don't want to hear anything from you, Tyreek. Just keep your mouth shut, and no problem. We'll you'll have your bags packed and go to luck to the next city. Just try to keep it in your pants.
The funniest thing about all that, Johnny, is you remember when Antonio Brown left and he walked out? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
He took his shirt off. He did bye.
Yeah.
Did you see the cheetah photoshopped his face and used that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, he did that just recently. That's pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But that just shows you. And here's the takeaway that I'll take from this is that, you know how we always say, oh, it's a business, we get mad at the teams? Well, you know what? Sometimes players make their own decisions too, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? Now it's the other way around, and it's a business. So I don't feel bad for him in the slightest. And I think at this point, I hope that they trade him for draft picks, because you're right. He's still in contract.
Get out.
Let's get some draft picks.
Waddle's young. Waddle's fine. Get rid of you. Get out of here. Go ahead and work something out here. So I can see Hill in a draft day kind of trade to where you get rid of him, get some draft picks or something. Please, but this guy should just kept his mouth shut. Now it's going to hurt them getting the number one first-round pick. Yeah. I think that's going to hurt them because they know that
it'll hurt on leverage. But you know what? Look on to the future, and if you listen to me, draft a quarterback. Even if you have him sit for a year under Tua to see what Tua does, draft a quarterback.
You're saying you want Miami Dolphins for your first round pick to be a quarterback?
So, yeah, well, first of all, this was the idea that Cheetah is going to get traded for picks. So you're going to have other picks to pick other players.
So a first-round pick you want the Miami Dolphins to use for a quarterback.
I would love to see that. And if not, here's what I would love to see, Johnny. You brought it up. This is Florida Man Sports. You know what I would like to see?
Sure.
If not that, go after Milton. Go after Milton. Go after Milton. I'm telling you right now, that kid can ball. That kid is going to have a career. Florida Man Sports. You're the Patriot fan. You should know this better than me, and I've got your intel. That's crazy.
Okay, we've talked about this before. I
stand by that.
Okay, that's not the issue. I like Milton more than I like Drake May.
Oh, dude, you should. The guy's amazing.
The problem is we're not. I promise you were basically about to adopt Drake May, how you love and I'm like, okay, you thought he was the best quarterback prospect. And the second best quarterback prospect for you was Bo Nix. We thought Drake May was the best one. That was insane that they weren't taking him. He was the best.
And Drake May had a really good season this year.
He didn't have a really good season.
For only playing, for having the concussions, and for only playing after week 5.
Add contingency.
After week 5, he had a really good year.
Drake May is not a future. He is not the guy that's going to go ahead and lead this franchise.
Drake May is not the future?
He's not.
Oh, wow.
And for me, I don't see him as the guy. I see him as a really good backup. As I said from the very beginning. So, yes, Milton has more upside. Problem is, when you drive somebody, especially with a top 3 pick, let alone a first-round pick, you're going to ride it out with him for years. You're going to. Too much money is tied up into him. This isn't a coach. This isn't a situation like that. You're stuck with him for at least another year.
Sorry to cut you off there, buddy, but yes and no. And we're going to talk a little bit about I guess we're not putting the NFL away just yet before the picks. But last thing on this to your point is just to prove that you're not right. Okay. Look at what the Vikings are already talking about doing right now. The Vikings are talking about keeping Sam Darnold. And they're already talking about trading that first round pick that they have the money into McCarthy, trading him for some first round picks. And there's whispers that people are willing to pay that.
Yes.
So to your point, Johnny, they could easily trade.
Same thing.
No, they could trade May because you said they have money invested in him. They could trade May and start Milton. So why don't they do that?
Why
don't they do that?
That is ridiculous.
What are you
brought that out there? No, now we're getting into it. Okay. Now it's like ridiculous. Yes, it is what I said. But you're seriously trying to compare Sam Darnold and Milton? No. Milton is a late round pick that he flourished in the preseason and he flourished with
any opportunity he's been given.
With the second string
that he's been given.
With a second and third string defense, he's been thriving. And you're talking about Sam Darnold, who was a top 5 pick, who fell off. It's not your fault. You play for the Jets. The Jets are trash. They're always going to be trash. And it didn't work out for you there. You left, and same thing Baker Mayfield did. Revitalize his career with better coaching, a better franchise.
I see what you're saying. You're saying the Patriots don't have a Sam Darnold or a Baker Mayfield, and you're saying that Milton is not at that level to justify them trading for one pick.
That's exactly.
But you also, out of the other side of your mouth, said that Drake May, in your opinion, is not the solution for the Patriots.
Yes.
So if he's not, then get rid of him.
He's not. If you're able to get, for me personally, a first-round draft pick for Drake May, you go ahead and do it. They're not going to. What you're saying is that Milton, let's go ahead and go ahead and keep them both. Sam Darnold, it didn't cost you anything.
No, but
and
what I'm saying is
J.J. McCarthy, who was a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
is there? He's there. It's like, okay, we're good. We like you. But hey, we're going to stick with Sam.
Right.
Then we can go ahead and first round. You can get a first round pick from your backup, from essentially your backup. It's the same situation we have.
It's not. But again, let's jump into the Wildcard weekend. But all I was saying was the argument was, if he's not the future, like you said, he's not.
Okay.
You could get a first round pick for him because they're going to get one from McCarthy, and then you just put the trust in Milton, and you lose nothing because if he doesn't do well, then you get more first round picks, right? That's all I'm saying.
No, they're not. We made the mistake with Drake May, and we made our bed. We're gonna have to lie in it for at least another couple of years. Same thing that Caleb Williams at the Bears. They're gonna stick with him for at least a couple of years and see what's up.
And Florida Man Sports, streaming on all major platforms. Please like, share, subscribe. At the 39-minute mark, Johnny Cinco, we're finally getting into it.
Sorry, we got into
the NFL Wildcard weekend is here. We're gonna have all week to hear the predictions, but please come to the source. That over here, I got to give this guy credit this week. I think he probably got 2, 3 wrong, maybe 3. There you go. And I'm gonna remain. I had a really good year, guys. We'll talk about me last week. Let's move on to the.
All in all, we consistently do well But next season, we are going to throw in the point spreads and have to really make our picks.
And we're going to have our predictions up so you guys can see why you should be listening to Florida Man Sports. Let's start with the Saturday matchup, Johnny Cinco. The Los Angeles Rams, they're at Houston, 4:30 game. Listen, this is for all the marbles here. Chargers, Texans. Who's taking it?
It's what like these are the Los Angeles Rams, and then you went out like it's like so the Chargers against the Houston Texans. I'm like, what the hell?
Chargers,
Like,
Texans. Who's taking it? Hey, I blame the NFL for all their shift changing and team movement. So,
listen,
what do you got?
There, obviously, you have the C.J. Stroud, who had that ridiculous year last year and led the team to a playoff win, and really until they met the Ravens last year, were looking really good. They're still a good team, but they lost some of that mojo. And who's picked up that mojo? The Chargers. Jim Harbaugh has really went ahead and revitalized his team. That defense was number one defense in football, finished the year. Outstanding team. I'm expecting that defense to continue and Justin Herbert to go ahead and really have his moment. That dude hasn't had the moment yet, really, in the NFL. You got the money, you got the contract. He has the skills. It's time for him to do something to show him that he's worth all the hype. It's time to type like Joe Burrow's not in the playoffs. I expect Herbert to be that Joe Burrow this particular season, represent the AFC well. Chargers will win this game.
You know, it's funny with the Herbert, kind of happened the same thing where all the wide receivers were sold, like the Bills, and then you kind of question what they were going to do, but the coach had a plan. That was a big running game and good defense.
Yeah.
And ultimately, to me, these teams, they're equal, in my opinion. And they're equal in the sense that when you take the plus, minus, points for, points against, all those intangibles, they're a pretty even matched team. I normally would have given the home team to win this game, Johnny, because they're evenly matched. But I'm going to give it to the Chargers just simply because I feel like Houston is depleted on offense. They've got too many. Remember, they started with Diggs, right, and Dell.
Yep.
They're both gone. Both gone. So give me the Los Angeles Chargers to win on the road and win this game as well.
They're going to have to fully rely on Mixon to kind of do something. And number one run defense in the league, in the Chargers. So it's going to be difficult to stop them. Chargers are going to win.
There you go. Sticking in the AFC, you've got Pittsburgh, and they are traveling to Baltimore, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Who's winning this?
That's what we're talking about. I know I going to give some foreshadowing a little earlier regarding their 5 losses in a row, but
right.
The Steelers come into the playoffs losing 4 games in a row. Now they face the buzzsaw that is the Baltimore Ravens. Come on. Listen, the Steelers haven't beat anyone of substance all year. So you're going to go ahead now and show up and somehow beat Chris's pick to win the Super Bowl this year. This team who arguably is the best team in the AFC. No, man. I mean, it'll have to – if Mike Tomlin can pull off this win, then at that point,
of the year.
then somehow, even though the votes are already in, somebody go in, take the ballot, get an eraser, then write them in there. But I don't see it happening. I see Pittsburgh, unfortunately, losing 5 games in a row to end their season. And then it's going to be a big question mark on what's going to happen with Russell Wilson. Are they going to re-sign him? What are they going to do? If they pull off a victory here, Russ is going to resign. If they're going to resign him.
Of course.
If they do not, I don't see him resigning Russell Wilson. I see them kind of moving. I don't know if it's going to be Justin Fields. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know what they're going to do, but both quarterbacks are going to be free agents. So it's going to be interesting on what they end up.
Wouldn't surprise you like Kirk Cousins jumps in or something like that.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to throw a much right in the offseason. It's going to be interesting.
Yep.
What you got?
No, for me, I'm taking Baltimore as well. I could totally see the thing about Pittsburgh. You got 3 losses this year that are 3 points or less. So no matter what, Pittsburgh, for the most part, they keep games close, and that's why to your point, you're like, hey, Coach Tomlin would be Coach of the Year because I could see it happening. I wouldn't be, whatever. But
I agree.
But I'm taking Baltimore. I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl and to win it all this year. So I'm not going to turn back now. Baltimore wins at home, and it's going to be Baltimore and the Chargers coming out of the AFC.
Agreed.
Finishing up the AFC, Johnny Cinco, let's go to Denver, let's go to Buffalo, where Denver is traveling to Buffalo. Who's winning this one?
Buffalo doesn't lose at home. They don't lose at home. Josh Allen, not this year. Josh Allen is a beast. I think they say it's going to snow, and I know Denver can go ahead and handle that. But no. Bo Nix, great season. Denver, great season. Sean Payton, I still hate you as a coach. But Buffalo Bills are winning this game.
Doesn't it feel like Denver and Buffalo is kind of like Pittsburgh and Baltimore in a way? Like I see Denver battling, tough game. They're going to try to battle. They're going to try to do their best to show that they deserve to be there. But ultimately, to your point too, I just don't think that the rookie has it in him to win a game in Buffalo. Not this year. That's going to happen.
We're looking at this, and it's the playoffs, guys. So any team can win. So yes, you're looking at this like Denver maybe can win. Same thing with the Steelers. Steelers maybe can beat Baltimore. Of course, it's the playoffs. There are no scrubs in the playoffs. So no, it's while you look, there's always an upset possibility.
I just don't see it happening. Not with Bonitz. But kudos to Denver for making the playoffs and killing that. I think it was like a 7-year drought since making the playoffs. So kudos to them. Let's move on to the NFC, where the Green Bay Packers are traveling to Philadelphia. Packers, Eagles. Who's taking this one?
No, and again, I foreshadowed earlier. This is the end of Sirianni here because you're a damn fool. You're going to go ahead and not give this kid the record. You should have been like, no, it's your decision. Yes, this can happen. I get it. By playing Barkley, you had to start your full offensive line and do the whole thing there, and you want him to get rest. I don't care. Give the kid the record. He earned it, and you didn't. And now you face the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are what, a 3 or 4 loss wild card team? Like, no. Green Bay Packers are an outstanding team, and they're a better team. The Green Bay Packers are beating here the Eagles. The Eagles can fly home. Sirianni, you will get fired. You're going to cost the kid the chance to have the record on with the Eagles jersey, and you're going to be out in the first round again, like you were last year against Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So to your point, well, actually, no. Let me back up a little bit. This is going to be the first game that we disagree. I'm taking the Eagles to win. Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles to win this game. But I'll tell you this: Watson just got hurt. He hurt his knee, blew out his knee, so he's not going to be available for Green Bay. I don't think that the Green Bay Packers are going into this. Jordan Love, and he's normally a very efficient quarterback, has not been so efficient the last 3-4 weeks overall. And then now you have to take on the task of taking on a Philadelphia team that is rested. I don't think that's going to bode well. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles to win, the first one that we disagree on. And of course, I'm going to pat myself on this one. Philly, I picked to go to the NFC Championship, so that's why I have to go with Philly. Moving on to the next game of the NFC, Johnny Cinco, the Washington Redskins, soon to be Washington Redskins, are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs get to host a game at home. They're the number 3 team in the NFC. Commanders, Bucs, who's winning this one?
I don't know why people are talking about that they're going to go back to the Redskins name. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not going to go back to the Redskins. It's never going to happen. They're going to stick with the Commanders. It's fine. The Commanders is a good name. The uniforms are cool. I don't mind it at all. No. Listen, I want you to sit. I'm glad you're sitting down, and I'm glad these guys are listening. I understand it. Hey, good job, Bucs. The only team in Florida to make it to the playoffs. You have a home game here against the Commanders. But last year we had a rookie win a playoff game in C.J. Stroud. This year we're going to have another rookie win a playoff game in Jaden Daniels. So I have the Commanders, who the Bucs are just too depleted. They have a lot of injuries, and you're coming. You fought hard. Props to your boy who got 1,000 yards again. Avery Evans, who's a machine, got that 1,000 yards there. Props to Tampa for fighting and getting in there, but the Washington Commanders are a better team, who are healthier. They're winning this game.
So I think the first thing that we should mention in the way that the game's played out, because the Rams lost, it gave the Bucs the 3rd seed. So in other words, it gave the Commanders or the Bucs the easiest path to the NFC Championship game. So let me be very clear on that. What that means is the Lions and the Vikings played, and because it played out the way that it did, because the Rams lost, if the Vikings beat the Rams, they're going to meet the Lions again in the playoffs, and the Bucs are going to get the winner of Philly Green Bay. So we've got the easiest path here if we just win this game.
Oh, yes.
That's all we got to do. Win this game. And if you think that I'm going to have Florida Man Sports year 2, whatever time we're on, and I'm not going to bet the Bucs to win a freaking playoff game, then you are out of your damn mind. Bucs win. I don't give a damn. Look, the defense, the biggest problem that we have is that we're depleted. Yes, we are. But we also have heart, and we can play with heart at home. Okay? No, stop.
You're going to put the Rocky music in the background?
Okay? One of the biggest things this last year that we had was, can Baker Mayfield do it again? He did it again. We were better on offense than we were last year with Cohen. Bowles has done such a great job of adjusting at halftime, and we're at home. Tampa freaking Bay, you're going to win this game. You're not going to let me down. You're going to take advantage of the path to the NFC Championship game, and we're going to Well, I'll take that on next week. But the Bucks freaking win. Bucks win.
Yeah,
Show.
man. That's a fan talking, guys.
Let's go.
That's a fan.
I almost got emotional right now. Just
I saw this. So choked up a little bit.
thinking, you think I'm gonna bet against the Bucks in the playoffs? Are you kidding me?
That is a fan talk.
Playoffs?
That's a fan. Playoffs?
Gotta be all excited.
No, listen. Hey, I hope they do. I hope Tampa Bay does find a way to go and win this.
We beat them in the regular season. They're a beatable team. We're gonna beat them.
Every team here is beatable. I think out of every team in the playoffs right now, nobody's more injured than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Lions.
So no, the Lions. Yes, I do. The Lions, but the Lions have the players to back them up there. So the Lions, obviously, they drafted well. They have a lot of young talent. So Hutchinson goes down. It's still, you're not replacing him with a Hutchinson type player, but still good players that still can perform. The Bucks, your drop off is too much.
No, I agree. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that we're going to the Super Bowl just yet. I'm not doing that. I'm not being that guy. I'm not being that fanboy.
You said this
I am not gonna be that fanboy.
You're telling me that
to the NFC Championship game, my boy.
You're saying that this is your most difficult game, and the next games you face are going to be easier than this one. As long as you get past this one, you can't.
That's not what I said.
Don't see us.
What I said was that we have the easiest path when it comes to opponents. So again, in other words, if the Bucks win, Johnny, would you rather play the winner Philly of Green Bay, or would you rather play the winner of Detroit, Minnesota?
Well, I'm a competitor, so it's going to be both teams.
Oh,
and I'll take it along.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bucks win. Let's go. We wrap things up for the Man Sports. You got the Vikings and the Rams, because the Vikings, of course, got beat down by the Lions yesterday, and they take on the Rams at Los Angeles. They're traveling. Who's winning this game?
I mean, guys, this is a good game. This is really a good game. This can go either way. You're playing at home. The Rams don't really have that much of a home field advantage because there's like 12 Los Angeles Rams fans. So let's throw that out the window in terms of home field. I just like the Vikings. The Vikings still a top 5 defense. I like Sam Darnold to go ahead and show up and really win a playoff game to get him that contract, to guarantee him that contract that he deserves. The kid worked hard. I like to see him. He's a good player. I like him a lot more now that he's out of a Jets uniform. But he was good in college, and he's been good this year. And I'm glad to see him get that Baker Mayfield type treatment. I expect him to get a Baker Mayfield type contract, 3 years, $35 million range, something like that. So Vikings win.
So, I mean, I couldn't say that part. I'll give you kudos on that at the end. Look, this is really what it comes down to. You win, and you're a Viking for the next handful of years. You lose, you're going to get some money, but it's not going to be with the Vikings. That's really the way that I see it.
Yeah.
That's really the way that I see it at this point. So the question is that, and then for the Rams, we picked the Rams to win last week, regardless of what happened, and they lost. And so I'm going to give it to the Vikings as well. I think the Vikings are better on defense, like you mentioned. I think that Sam Darnold, I think that that's the exception of the rule. What happened last week, he dusts himself off. I think that he wants some payback for the following week against the Lions. So give me the Vikings to put a bow on this as well and beat the Rams on the road.
I mean, it's going to be, honestly, all these games are going to be on point, but I'm looking forward to, I'm not a big fan of the Vikings or the Rams, but I just think that's going to be such a good game.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what this guy has left in the tank, Stafford, because there's rumors next year. You alluded to it a little bit in terms of like what Kirk Cousins is going to do.
Yeah.
Where's he going to go? Is he going to throw in the wrench? If Stafford has a horrendous game here, or is LA going to look towards Kirk Cousins? Are other teams going to look towards Kirk Cousins to kind of replace it? The Cardinals, what are the Cardinals?
It's going to be a crazy offseason conversation when all the dust settles, for sure, 100%.
But either way, it's going to be a great weekend of football we're looking forward to. We do appreciate you guys listening and watching. Please continue to go ahead and like, share, subscribe, like the TV says. Comment if you like as well and tell us how great we are. Or you can tell us how terrible we are. We're fine with those comments as well. See, Chris hears it all the time. But we thank you very much, guys. This is Johnny. I'm Johnny.
Good job. Thank you, Lord. We're out.